Mm. Welcome to Friday Try Fiesta. I always have to double think the name. Yeah, we were just talking about how our dad, me and Valentin's dad, got into this political party in Bulgaria. And our mom was doing stuff like that for years now, mostly very rebellious stuff. Right, Valentin?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. He's just a typical dad. He just sent me two links without saying anything else, no explanation or nothing, and I didn't know nothing about what he's doing. And yeah, one of the links was an interview for like a radio show, national Bulgarian radio show, where they had five or six, maybe six different political leaders or representatives of political parties that want to be getting into the government, and yeah, they were all getting interviewed. And my dad was right there. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing here? And then the other video he sent me was this political leader wannabe, I guess, candidate. Um, yeah, speech with my dad, and my dad was all decked up with a suit and a tie, and I'm like, what? Oh, crazy, super legit looking. Hi,
uh,
Sunny, and hi, Donnie. Good to see you.
hey, everyone. When I was studying at my high school, there was this military guy which came to the high school, and he was promoting a military school in some other part of the country. And the way he speaks is something specific to military people. And when I was watching that in that second video, he behaved in the exact same manner as that other military guy. And also in Bulgaria, we used to have a president that was a military guy as well,
Right, right.
and that person, surprise, surprise, behaves the same way. So
Yeah,
it's almost as when you put military people in front of, at least Bulgarian military people, in front of a camera, they, they behave in a pretty identical manner.
yeah. And also in one of the interviews, our dad said that the president Rumen Radev, maybe is the
Yes, that's
I can remember the name, but yeah, he was saying that they were colleagues and all that, and it's interesting. They do behave very similarly. I believe it's because of in Bulgaria back in the day when these people all were like we did have a military actually. They all have to go through a military school, which is kind of different than in other countries where you study, and from studying you become certain rank, and then that rank could climb even more after you've been serving in the army, as far as I am understanding it. So that military school teaches you certain behaviors or manners or whatever.
Can we see the video?
Yeah, so both videos are kind of long. I can
and and then in
Not the full
Bulgaria,
of it, but I'm curious
uh,
about how the military act in public, as your brothers say.
uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So they're also in Bulgarian, but I'll share screen and go to my messages. Um, I guess share. Okay, maybe this one. Okay, let me see where I'm at. So, am I sharing?
you're
Yep,
sharing
you're
the
sharing.
screen
Yep.
to the school page.
Yeah, let me see. Let me just find it. Where is it?
With Megan O'Hare? Who is this?
Well, I can't actually find where am I. Let me go to school and see where am I sharing it. how do I go to where I'm sharing? Oh my god! I'm just gonna share my whole screen. Okay, this is gonna make it easier. Stop sharing and share full screen. Yes, and okay. So now I'm just gonna go to, I guess, the tribe and our messages with Dad. Where's Dad? Oh my god. I have so many messages because I recently started working with the mayor program, Georgi Alexander. Okay.
Just
Okay.
please do things.
I know.
That's
I am actually speaking with him in Bulgarian. I write in Bulgarian because one time he
That's
scolded me.
Bulgarian.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. See?
It's look to me, because I don't know Bulgarian, it's look like Russian or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, both Russian and Bulgarian use the same alphabet, Cyrillic.
Okay.
So this is gonna bring me. Oh, Facebook. Fuck. I don't think I'm logged into that. I am on my phone. Oh, I can't log in here. Oh, let's see if that's gonna work. It populated my password.
funny, actually, an interesting fact. The Russian alphabet actually came from Bulgaria, but the Russians aren't so keen to to share this info with the rest of the world.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not. Okay, so I need to confirm from my phone that I am the one logging in. Okay, yes, it's me. Okay, I do not allow. I'm allowing access. Finish. Okay, so it should actually.
Hello,
Okay.
Sharon.
All right.
Hi, guys.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Good. I am sharing a video that always confirm it's me. Okay, sure. Do you guys still see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So here, what's that translating? Elections for, I don't know, some, how do you say this in English?
Uh, like representative of Congress. It's the closest
Ah,
you
okay.
Sure. So let me minimize first. I'll remove this. See if I can. I'll just like scan through real quick. This is
By
not.
the way, he didn't know that he's gonna attend to that radio
Oh, really?
show. Yeah.
Okay. So
So
this is a radio show. Uh, all the representatives talking, a lot of blah blah blah. I watched the whole thing, and here's the dad. Do you see my mouse?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the old man. Damn.
yeah. He's like he spoke a bunch of times, like 3 times during because they were going in circles.
And
Yeah,
who's that military guy?
he's very military. Yeah.
yeah.
This guy?
Yeah. So these are all the people. So I guess 4 people, and then the fifth one is the girl with the radio show. So that's a national Bulgarian radio show, and then the other one is how did I get back? Oh, okay. So oh, they're both Facebook. Fuck. Okay. So here's this one. This one is where the guy was screaming. So the guy is, I guess, the leader, and our dad
Oh,
is helping him. And he's so animated and so loud, and that's dad. I like notice he even put a suit and a tie. That's insane. I haven't seen that since I was 3, probably, or 4 or something.
Just
He talks
for
so.
your information, Rossi, we can't hear the sound, but maybe that's not the point. But,
Oh, you can't hear the sound.
no,
no.
we cannot. It's okay.
Oh, how do I?
I was
I
not
hear
able
it.
to understand what he says, so
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the mannerisms. He is like a typical military guy. See, like the mannerisms, how he's talking. It's like all serious all the time.
okay.
And he's really specific. He's really careful of what he's trying to convey in the video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I saw that he was like really selective with his words.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about a delicate subject.
Well,
Yeah.
they spoke of the state of the military in Bulgaria, the current state of Bulgaria,
Okay, yeah.
and he was sharing why he's not really happy with the current state.
Okay.
Yeah, like because they removed the army and then dismissed a lot of people that are really skillful, young, and they do want to help the country, but they were dismissed because right now it's more of like every military person in Bulgaria is more of like just a face and not really doing anything. And it's more controlled by NATO and the United Forces of Europe. So it's like a lot of politics and things. And I didn't know also what they mentioned in one of the videos. And my dad had to apologize because he was like speaking for salary for people. He wants to use the community like for making any decisions. So the political party that they're representing, apparently their take on things that makes them different is that they want all the people to participate in all decisions and not put the decisions in somebody that's corrupted or inadequate. So that's kind of like their angle. And he was saying about, for example, he will have like a bunch of volunteers that will be fixing the roads, right? And then he was giving an example that they would have funds for those volunteers that would have them getting paid for the work, right? And he was speaking in levs, which is always used to be the Bulgarian currency, but since January this year they changed it to euro. So that's why I was like confused and texted my dad. I didn't even know that the euro is the official currency in Bulgaria right now. And he's like, yeah, since January. And then he had to apologize in one of the videos. He was like, oh yes, the salary would be like 1,000 and whatever levs. He was giving an example, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize for saying levs and not euro. And then I texted him, what the fuck? Since when you have to apologize for using euros or dollars and not levs? And he said, well, it's an official currency right now. So he was really trying to be politically correct with everything he was saying. So careful. Anyway, that's kind of just happened last night. Hi, Jan. How are you? Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
Oh my God. Are you still in Egypt, Yana?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
an Egyptian cat?
Mm-hmm. We gave him a name. His name is Carl.
Carl?
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
Yeah, he's chilling
Carl.
with us. Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. Very gentle.
Cool. Is he a stray
Mhm.
cat or is someone's?
Yeah, stray cats. I think they choose their people.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in Dahab right now on the Red Sea.
Nice. I have not been there yet. What about
Just 50
Karen?
meters from it. Mhm.
Haven't seen you in a while. Karen.
Oh, me?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing okay. We had a little toxic mold exposure last month, so
Oh,
it usurped maybe half my time. So
oh, is this the one where you had to take all the furniture out of your office?
no, it was in my husband's new office, so it was affecting me every time he came home after work, and I just go bonkers. Like it just zonked me out. I don't handle toxic mold very well. He handles it pretty damn well. He didn't hardly notice a difference. So, that's always the challenge with toxic mold is everybody experiences it differently. And the person who doesn't have a problem with it because their detox systems are quite a bit faster, and or they also don't pay totally attention to what's different. They think the other person's nuts.
Yeah.
So, the classic thing is he'll tell me, well, that's interesting. I'm
Yeah.
like, no,
And
it's
you,
not interesting. It's freaking a nightmare. And
yeah.
it's making me incredibly sick. It's not interesting. This is
You
an
smell it.
emergency.
You smell it.
Actually, on him, they don't all smell. All molds, it's kind of that's one of the myths of mold. Actually, I'm going to make a little note. I'll post the myths on mold.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the myths is that it'll smell bad, like musty or moldy, but they don't all smell that way. But some of us are canaries, so we don't detox it quickly or well, and so we'll sense it right away, like the canary that was sent down in the mines with the miners to basically keel over with toxic gases so that they would know to get out of there because the gases didn't smell either. So anyhow, he did agree to put a very special air purifier that detoxes mold, spores, fragments, more mycotoxins, and then also a diffuser that has antifungal oils in it. We use grapefruit oil, essential oil, which is tolerable to his coworkers in the surrounding area. And it made a huge difference, which is great, but it was exhausting.
Yeah. Hi,
Oh,
Karen. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Sharon, I have a little enough, I guess, to know that it's horrible with mold, but more like the smelly type due to like spaces being flooded with
mhm.
and then moldy, and then I smell it, and then I feel it in my head, like I get a headache, and then in the breathing a little bit, but it's mostly the smell that is horrible that I can't stand,
Mhm.
and any of the other symptoms. But I didn't know that they don't all have smells, because that would make you more unaware, like more
Yeah.
people. But I also feel the same, like when that people would tell me you're crazy because I smell. I have a pretty developed sense of smell, and
Yeah.
I smell that from very far. And one of the times
Exactly.
in a limo that I bought from New York, and the limo had some kind of a water damage that was not disclosed at the time of the purchase, but like I could smell
Mhm.
it. And then later on, like right now in my old house, like the previous before this one, I had this going on in my garage. So everything that is in the garage smells like it. And
Ah.
yeah, I leave it in the sun and it goes away. The smell goes away. I'm not sure if the rest of the shit goes away.
The yeah,
But
the mycotoxins don't necessarily go away, but there are some pretty simple DIY things that it usually takes 2 passes to get, because mycotoxins they're invisible. So the mold itself isn't actually the biggest issue, it's their exhaust fumes.
mm,
And those get on all our stuff. And that's part of
right.
why people who've been exposed to buildings that have a challenge, because you move your stuff with you, then you
Mhm,
open it up in the new space and those mycotoxins start affecting you again. But yeah,
mhm.
I'll make a little list to put some of that up, because it's relatively easy, but what isn't easy is you got to wipe down every single surface of like the hard stuff. But the soft stuff, like, I mean, if it can fit in a washing machine, it can be washed pretty well. I mean, there are some people who are so hypersensitive, that won't work for them. But if it's a soft thing like wood that's porous, those are really best just gotten rid of. Just throw
You
it
know
out.
what worked when I got the limo? And that was back 10 years ago, probably 9 years ago, before I moved to LA.
Mm,
And And I was like, oh my god, it's very bad in the car, and especially I knew that I'm going to drive from New York to Florida, from Florida to California, and then from California back to Florida. So I
Right.
knew that I knew that like something needs to be done. So I read a lot about modes and stuff, and not that I know it all, but what seems to be working, people have said, it's ozone generator. So I went and I rented one, and I put it in the car for 2 hours, and then the smell was completely gone. Now, I don't know if like all the crap was gone, but the smell was gone, which for me was sufficient to be like, okay, now I can like drive the
That's
thing.
great.
And yeah, have you heard about ozone generators?
Yeah, ozone generators are really great at getting rid of scents and also VOCs and some chemicals, because that third part of the oxygen will attach to them and it'll drop to the ground as dust and can be vacuumed up. It's not like for a building or for something that you are going to have more permanently. It does not get rid of mycotoxins. It does get rid of the smell, but not the poisonous part itself. So other things have to be used for mold remediation. And there's so much misinformation on mold remediation.
Yeah.
It's actually unfortunately very difficult to find what really works. But ozone will not get rid of mold. And ozone in a home, like a bathroom or crawl space, basement, stuff like that, it actually can make the mold situation far more virulent because mold feels attacked by ozone. And so it starts kicking out way worse, more toxic, 10,000, 100,000 times more toxic byproducts.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
but it's great that it worked for the car and it didn't bother you anymore. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. The only thing that you need to keep in mind with ozone generators, they're not great for you. So or
Yeah.
animals. So you need to like get out of there. So I closed the car and had it in.
Yeah.
And if you do it in your house, you need to get out of the house, and all the
Plants, pets, people, all of them have to be out. But it'll dissipate pretty quickly. I mean, it'll dissipate in about an hour. I used to have an ozone generator in a previous office space, and I would run it at night on a timer because it gets rid of all virus, bacteria, a bunch of pathogens. So, I saw a lot of kids and families, and so, kids are touching everything. It's not like I'm going to be able to wipe down every wall under
right.
the tables, everywhere they were. So we used to do that, and then essential oils when we traded that out. But I did have some clients who had familial lung, like genetic lung conditions. And it's really bad if people have worked around chemicals or they have a lung weakness or challenge. So I had these little stickers that I could open up and put in there in the morning to make sure it had aired out enough. And it was like, it had to be less than 5 parts per million to not affect those people. So basically, if you can't smell it at all, it's probably fine. But if you
Mhm.
can smell any of that, like lightning or ozone smell, it wouldn't be safe for someone who had sensitive lungs.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. But they're great. I mean, for like painting, before there was really good low VOC paints or zero VOC paints, you'd put it in a house after it was painted and take it down in like half an hour, an hour. But in cars and stuff like that too, anything that has plastic, I mean, an hour or two is not going to do much to the plastic, but some people will run it for like 12 hours overnight. And after one or two sessions of that, the plastic in the car, like, where the console little thing in between the front seats that opens and closes, like that clip will just break off. It makes
Mm,
plastic really brittle. So it's
interesting.
like if it's something that's plastic that you want to keep well, you wouldn't use a lot of ozone on that.
Yeah. What about the home? I mean, you have a lot of plastic things in the house, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't used it in the home before, but I mean, it just wasn't on that long. So it never really, like, I never noticed anything with like Tupperware tops or, Pyrex tops. We don't have Tupperware, but I didn't notice anything with the plastics like that. But we never really had it on that much. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, and I recall one time, I think we had a different conversation about mold, but I don't know if it was like here or in your community,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
like.
it was the macro micronutrient talk. I think it didn't mold
Oh
come up from
yeah, yeah, yeah,
coffee.
yeah.
Someone
We
had a
went
question about why they didn't feel good
right,
with coffee.
right. Because I do
Yeah.
drink a lot of coffee. For me, that was shocking, and I was like, oh my god, imagine how much mold I'm drinking on a daily with with all the coffee. But yeah, I shared there too. Like one time, I was in my parents' house after not being there for a very long time, and they had plants that my dad has to bring inside on the second floor every winter, and they're planting pots because in Bulgaria it gets really cold. It's like our Chicago here in the States. So some plants, they don't do well in the snow and all that 9 yards. So my dad has to carry them on the second floor, where actually, Valentin, your spot is right now. That was the room that I bleached the fuck out of. So that they used to put plants in his spot now. I mean, he moved out. He doesn't live with the parents anymore, but it was now it's kind of like his spot when he goes there. And yeah, so they would put plants in that room, and I saw it, and there was like a shit ton of black on the ceiling, and I'm like, oh my
Whoa.
god, that's horrible. So I took a bunch of bleach and I put it in a spray bottle, kind of like Windex, but it was a different brand, something. And I sprayed the fuck out of it with bleach everywhere, and then I wiped it with some rugs, and then it became white. Then I went and proudly said to my mom, I fixed your mold problem. It was black before, and then it was white.
Well, that's one of the things that you'll find online about how to handle mold, but for future reference, choose something else. Like I'll send you what to use instead. Mold, Clorox, chlorine, bleach, um, doesn't get rid of the mycotoxins. It does make it white.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
does. It does get rid of the black stain, but it's not what you want to do in the future.
yeah. That was like the first thing that popped in my head, and what we had in the house,
That's what
and
most
also,
people do. That's
and
the
you know
that's the
what?
number one thing that's done for mold, and it's just like totally
Yeah,
wrong for toxicity. But
very stereotypical, I guess. Well, it was the mood smelled so bad, and like I told you, I have like this headache, kind of like, and it
yeah,
really, I feel it's right here, and then the bleach made it so much worse because it smells really bad, right? Even though it was diluted, it still smelled really bad, and it was like, I don't know which one's worse, but at least this one looks white.
so vinegar is great as a rinse for mold, and either a solution of just food grade hydrogen peroxide for a second dose, or a dose of a little borax in water.
Cool. So
That's the way to
the
get.
hydrogen peroxide would be like a 3% one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's plenty of that
Yeah, and
around.
and then the thing that is really important is you have a bunch of throwaway rags, and you wear gloves, ideally a mask.
A hazmat.
and then and then you just you don't re-wipe. So like you pick your two things you're going to use, and you can use antifungal essential oils with a little bit of soap and water. You can use that also, but you want to use two things. And when you wipe, you're only wiping one way, then you fold the cloth or the paper towel, and then you wipe again, but you're not re-wiping. Like that's the biggest mistake people make is they
Right.
use the same rag, they rinse it out with water, then they re-wipe. So they're just spreading these
Yeah.
mycotoxins all over the freaking house.
So 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 then the rule is to wipe like you wipe your butt when you do number two.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then you don't let that part touch. You fold it over so that part's not touching anything else. And then you go again. And then that rag or paper towel gets thrown out. And then you use a new one for whatever you're using for the second dose. So, like if you use hydrogen peroxide for the first one and an essential oil with a little Castile soap so it disperses through a little water for the second one, then those all go in a plastic bag and they all go directly out of the house. Yeah. Yeah, mycotoxins they're the great mimicker of all diseases. So people really don't know when they've been exposed to it. I mean, until a lot of things go wrong and hopefully they find someone who knows how to deal with it. But most people don't. It mostly goes undiagnosed, it goes missed. And in the US, because we have wall board that's gypsum board, it's like the perfect medium to grow mold. It's like the stupidest thing to decide was legally useful for houses. So, like plaster and lathing, like, all your older European buildings, a lot of your like really older early 1900 American buildings, those are plaster and lathing. They're the wrong pH to grow mold. Doesn't matter how wet they get, doesn't matter if they were flooded, they're not going to grow mold. But nowadays, 25% minimally reported we know are toxic mold buildings for homes and workspaces. So it's really probably 50% for both. So, I mean, we've all been exposed. Yeah. I mean, if people really wanted to see, is this something that's bothering me? I'd say the cheapest way to do it is something called a VCS for visual contrast sensitivity, a VCS test. And you can get it online, vcstest.com. You don't even have to pay for the first test and you can decide afterwards. So they'll give you like the first page of the test and you do it on like your phone or your tablet, whatever the most up-to-date device is that you have, because it's going to test your visual contrast sensitivity. And based on where you test well and where you don't, this thing takes like 20-25 minutes to calibrate your screen and then do the test and the questionnaire after. And it'll show you in the first page, like, oh, you had a positive result, meaning there's some bad stuff going on here. Well, great. Then spend the $15 and buy that test. The other tests that we have to test mold are $345, $450. So $15 is a really nice, quick, easy way to tell. But it'll also show if there's nutritional deficiencies, if there's other biotoxin or environmental toxin exposure. So I'm a huge fan. I mean, they could literally charge so much more for that test because it's really valuable. But
And it's like mostly visual stuff that they
it's
test.
all visual plus a
Huh.
questionnaire. So at the end, there's like 25 questions. A lot of people quit before doing it all. Do all the questions. It's really helpful information. Even if they're all negative, you have a baseline to know I wasn't exposed here. So then if something happens in the future, you have a better idea of finding out where you got exposed. So, but it's all visual. It's all just they show like these little lines that are like this on the screen and you have to say which direction they're going. And it's fascinating. It's just crazy how I don't even know how they figured it out. I think it's really cool. But the information is very actionable, and the information also is that test shows a high sensitivity, meaning if I start someone on a mold protocol, we could do that test again in a month and it'll show whether it's changing. Sometimes the person can't feel the change. Usually the practitioner will be able to see the change and ask questions that'll show whether it's changing, but sometimes the person needs a little more proof that I'm going in the right direction if they can't tell already. And so that test is great for it because it'll give good feedback about whether you're on track or not.
It's interesting how a lot of things are connected to the vision when it comes to that test.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, the fact that they can tell nutritional deficiencies, they can tell environmental
Mhm.
toxin exposure and myco mold toxin exposure just from that. I just find it fascinating. It's so cool.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and
Yeah.
there's people who don't want their blood drawn, and so there's not a lot of options, but that one's perfect.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't like my blood to be drawn.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's people who are like they're phobic about it, like they're not it will totally freak them out. It's not like it's uncomfortable or they don't like it. It's like almost a mental breakdown for them. It's kind of rough. No.
Yeah, some people faint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I got a question real quick
Hi,
for
Ankara.
Shannon.
How are you?
Hey, how you doing? I'm great, everybody. Good to see the tribe here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about iridology
Yeah.
because and connected to what you're talking about with the vision and everything, because it's kind of like a field that is lesser known, but I recently have been getting into iridology, and I got a photo of my eye. Actually, let me show you real quick here.
Cool. Oh, cool.
This is actually
Wow,
my eye.
that looks like a galaxy.
It does.
It is. It was superimposed with the galaxy, but it is actually a photo of my real eye.
Well, do you have blue eyes?
That's my eye right there. My eyes like kind of change. I don't know. They're weird. They morph. But I guess they're mostly blue, hazel, maybe purple some days, red. But yeah, so I'm just curious because uh like I know you can like tell a lot of deficiencies and other symptoms and things like that, or diseases from the eye. So do you know
Mm-hmm.
anything about that?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in iridology, but I know a little bit about that. I mean, in general, from what I mean, I'm looking at it on the phone, so it's pretty tiny, but looked like you've done some nice things for your health. I mean, you can see a clogged colon, and it's very similar to reflexology in that the different areas of the eye, like I'd have to know where it was oriented, but the different areas of the eye represent different organ areas and different disease states. So you'll find this interesting on some people. The very inside of the iris is a golden color, like almost golden, like yellow gold.
Okay.
And so if it's you have that.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
somehow I'm not surprised. So so if it's like caramel or flares out, that's actually a colon that needs to be cleansed. But if it's really even around the inside of the iris and it's a pretty, homogeneous, it's a pretty similar color, it's not blotchy or anything like that. It actually shows a highly sensitive nervous system, which makes sense, Rosita, right? That you would have that. So, and I mean, I don't think I can get close enough to the camera here to see it, but I'll try and take a picture later. But I have that. And that was part of, I knew about iridology. I had started learning it like when I was first in grad school, but the person who was the expert moved away. So that ended that. And then years later, one of my colleagues came up to me at a seminar and we were talking and we hadn't seen each other for years. So, lots of hugs and kisses. And then he was just staring at my eyes, staring at my eyes. I'm like, what's up? What's going on? He goes, you have a gold ring around the middle of your iris. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, don't you know what that means? I'm like, no. So it's really sensitive, the nervous system. So often people have that. They smell more than other people smell. They hear more than other people hear. They feel more than other people feel. It just picks up more information. And I was like, well, doesn't that explain things? Like,
Mhm.
that would have been nice to know early on.
Yeah, that explains your mold sensitivity.
Yeah, a lot of things. I mean, the mold sensitivity, I'm pretty sure I never did the test for it because it's a bunch of money that actually doesn't change how I deal with it anyhow. But there are they're called haplotypes, and certain people just really don't detox mold. So that's probably me.
Mhm.
So it's like a double sensitivity. And my husband has like none. So he always thinks it's interesting and doesn't want to do anything right away. I'm like, haven't you been with me long enough to know? That's never going to fly here.
Oh, Ankara, what were you what were you discovering about this? Is like really interesting. What made you take a picture and enlarge it and all that?
So I was at a cannabis event here in Florida, and there was all different types of vendors and things. And one of the vendors was a photographer who took pictures of your eye, and he transposed it into artwork. And so he has all different options and ways that you can, make you can join your eye with another person's eye and like make an infinity. You can do all these really fun artistic things with the picture of your eye. But it was the first time I had ever, had a close, highly detailed image of my eye. And so that's where this art comes from, is just, that I got it from a friend who I met at this event. But then I wanted to take it because now I have the image and I can send this image, like I could send it to Shannon, and she could, look at it and break it down for me.
There's something red there, I see.
I told you I got red eyes too.
Like a
And you
little
can look
spike.
up charts. There's charts available online. You could check it
Okay.
out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, like, when you see it in that such high definition and detail, like you see so much more color and so much more detail, and you like realize like how intricate the eyes are. The eyes are so phenomenal because it's like we see, we're receiving perceiving this whole image, but it's just like really signals and stuff like that to the brain. So like, your eye is the window to that, and your eyes actually have like a hexagonal, the lens is like hexagonal, which is just like the shape of a quartz crystal. You know what I mean? So you have all these different like crystalline structures in the human body. It's really, really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, indeed. There's so much in the eye that we can just think. Do you hear me double? I hear myself double.
Yeah, I was too.
How about now? Hello?
Check, 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 check. No, I
How is
don't hear
that?
a double anymore.
Okay, it's my fault. I'm sorry. I had my speaker system on and it was picking up my voice through the speakers.
Oh, so how do you hear us now?
Just through my phone.
Ah,
I had like a little speaker system that I was listening. So it was
oh, I heard you turning it off. Like
yeah.
the sound. Yeah, it's I used to have a speaker like that. Forgot the brand, but yeah, the same sound when you turn it off.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's sometimes there is like a feedback when you log in through a phone. I've noticed that, or if you have somebody that is on the same meeting within the same room for some reason, it creates like very oftentimes Goose and Yaki are in the same room and they create this feedback loop of each other. So one has to be muted. Which reminds me of we're having LA IRL Mastermind on Sunday, and I'm prepping to bring with me a bunch of musical instruments. And like the criteria of selection is they have to be easy enough for me to be able to teach anyone to play them immediately so they can have fun just jamming. And like in the past, these masterminds have been only like business and strategies and business stuff. And I was like, we should have some music in and have a little jam and spruce it up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to it. And I just talked with Gus a little bit ago, maybe like an hour and so ago, and I told him about that. And I said, if you can make it, because they're trying to make it with the bus, they're traveling like right now. Uh, they just passed Arizona, so they're trying to make it, but we'll see. So it would be really, really cool if they actually show up at that event. But I sent him the details and I said, like, yeah, try to make it. It would be really fun. And yeah, I think more of that would be amazing. Have our IRLs like have people be more engaged in terms of bringing music because some of the IRLs we already have a little bit of dancing, especially when Goose comes in the beginning, but it's still kind of stiff because it's just a few minutes and they stop it. I'm like, oh, dang it. I was just getting into it. So I think like a full segment of that and people participating with all kinds of percussion and hand drums and things would be a lot more fun and engaging and, you know, make everyone participate. Because once you get into it, you start having fun. At first, you might be like, oh, these people are ridiculous. But then once you get into it, it's fun. And this IRL, we're also planning like a beach day before that, and then the mastermind where we play these instruments, and then there's like a drum circle after that. So not everything would be mandatory, but it's like different three things within one big thing. So it would be people floating from one to the other. So it's a lot of fun, and something like that would be awesome to be transferred to other IRLs. Like I think just trying different things and make it more fun. Did you have a virtual IRL, Sharon? Like, did I
We
see that?
did, and I mean, part of it was for sure my fault, but neither Rachel nor I made a post reminding people that it was coming up. So, and I had like this packed day that day every minute. So I jumped on in the truck as I was getting. I have a monthly spiritual study class that I go to, so I needed to be out there for that. So I'm in the truck. And no one's coming on, no one's coming on. And so I park near where I have to go. And like 5 minutes before the end of it, David R. hopped on. And so we got to visit for quite a while. I ended up driving over to where my class is, and and I was on the phone with him or the live with him right up until I had to walk into the class. But uh, and so it was fun, and we had a lot of fun and got to visit a little bit. But I definitely learned my lesson. I have to remind people, of course, it's coming up, and keep inviting, keep inviting.
Yeah, for sure. Did you see my post? Well, I'm hearing myself double again.
Oh, we didn't hear you double, or I didn't.
Oh, and then only I hear it. That's fine. Well, I actually don't hear it anymore. I don't know, it was for a little bit. Um, what was it? Oh yeah, I made a post about this the calls, the live calls, and like the 3 reminders. Did you see that? If not, I can tag you. That works really well. Okay, I'll tag you after this call. So like just to mention, so 24 hours before the call, just kind of throw it in there. If it's in a community, like if it's a IRL community, yeah, you can just like slap a whole post about it so people know. But if it's in your own community, it could be like within something else with another thing in the post. And then 1 hour before the call, and then at the time of the call, we're live. So 3 postings. The most important are the second and the third one. The first one is not as important, but it's good to have. And like last night, like I didn't do the 24 hours for this call. I was just like, my head was like, there was so much stuff to do. And I passed out and yeah, still now behind with I just plowed through a bunch of notifications and I'm behind already again, super. But uh, I'll catch on. But the 3 postings, so 24 hours and then 1 hour before the call and then 1 hour at the time of the call. And that like works really well for live calls and in the beginning to get a call going until it's something regular. And a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to post too much. But you're not posting too much. People love reminders. People are really busy. And if they don't leave on school like I do, then they will get an email 24 hours earlier. They'll be like, oh, yeah, let me plan that ahead. Or Even if they are on school all the time, they will still plan ahead. And then the 1 hour before is like, oh, last minute thing. Oh, I forgot about this, but I'm getting in it. I had it in mind. Thanks for the reminder. And We're Alive is like, oh shoot, I totally forgot about it. Let me get in. So it's a really good, well worked system, and we do it both in the tribe and in Goosify. And so when people don't do it, I often forget, even if it's a regular call. I often just completely forget. And sometimes I can't make it, but like sometimes I forget, you know. And if it's a regular call, it's better to have it like regularly the same day in the week versus if it changes. But some people change it because of the time zones, because they want to cover more people for the different time zones. Like for example, this call that we're having right now, it's really not convenient for Australians. We have 3 Australians, and all three wanted to come to it at some points, but it's 4 a.m. there, so they either have to pull an all-nighter or just get up really early. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great information. I totally will do that rhythm for the calls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, for the
It's
Minnesota IRL, we don't have to worry about the Australian time frame, but I think I'll probably have to look at that for my own group because there are people all across the world. So we may have to do a different time frame for some of the workshops.
yeah. It all depends. But like the best way to think about it, if you put yourself in the members' shoes of like, what would you like to, like for me, for example, I'd like to be reminded, and there's not too much posting, and I would never say, oh, that mofo is so fucking annoying. I can't stand it with all these posts about we're going live. Yeah, no, I would never say that because I love that and it helps me. But then I'm in a lot of places. But that's how, because I like it, and that's how I also give it to my people. But also, this shit works because, like Goosify, for example, we've been doing that from the very beginning. Like right now, we don't do the first post 24 hours before because it's such a uh, it's very ingrained in the system already, the same time every single week, for a very long time. So we don't do the 24 hours, but we do 1 hour before and we're live at the same time. And usually the 1 hour before, like it's me, and sometimes I'm late, so I'm like 50 minutes or 45 minutes or something like that, whatever time there is left to the call. And that helps all the people that don't know what time it is where you're at, because we're all in different time zones. When you say in an hour versus like 10 a.m., 10 a.m., what time? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, you know? That works really well. What are you guys doing this weekend?
I've got a couple of kid concerts, some choir concerts I get to go to, and my husband saw the preview last week and he said they are really good. So I'm pretty excited about it. My eldest is in one big choir, I think it's like 30 people, and then another one for a cappella, which is a little smaller. So that'll be really fun. And then I get to start planting the cold weather plants. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. I recently planted some more herbs and they're doing really well, but they're indoors. Mint and basil and rosemary and parsley. I put some of
and
those in all my foods.
do you have Trader Joe's near you?
Yeah, I do.
They have some organic little baby herbs and they grow really well. So I've used those for basil and other things when I wanted more, or rosemary plants when I wanted more, because they're really inexpensive.
Do you plant them immediately in a bigger pot?
I don't plant them immediately in a bigger pot, especially depending, like now it's cool here. I mean, I'm basically the same as Chicago. It's cold still.
Yeah,
It'll get up to 55 today, but that's going to be the high. And then, so like now I would put it out during the day and bring it in at night and let it get used to what temperature it really is outside. But then I just put them right in the ground for most of it. But I have, we call it a strawberry plot. It's a pot that has like holes on the side, like 3 holes at one level on the side and 3 more holes on the side plus the hole on the top. And they're for planting strawberry plants, but I use it for herbs. So I'll put plants all in there. So I'll do that. I'll plant it in there. So I'll have 2 of those. So the one the kids pick on all the time. So then that's free range. You can do that one. And then I don't really hide it. It's just a little farther away from the back door. So it doesn't get picked on as much. So I know I'll be able to have what I want for the recipes I want it for.
Yeah, I love having the herbs and always put them in my salads and foods. It just makes the taste so much better of everything. Yeah, especially mint and parsley. Mm.
Do any of you guys have gardens or do grow herbs?
Uh, yeah, well, right now everything's, I don't know what the stage is called when you're not when the soil is just breathing, and there's nothing there. We even, and I know, like, weeds, they're a plant too, but we did pull out everything, and that was just because the I don't know, it's hard to with things changing around you when you live close to other people, your environment's just affected. It would be
Yeah.
nice to have, like, this symbiosis, of nature, but getting there is really difficult. So we encounter this, like, imbalance, right? Whether it's like, "Oh my gosh, now there's, like, beetles galore," or weed will take over. So it's always been tricky, but the soil's really good, and we don't do fertilizer or any of that stuff. It's just been straight compost and turning and hands. So right now it's breathing. I
Nice.
am thinking about, you know, travel when we're on the road, just having, like, our vegetables in, either a large van or a large truck, right? And having, like, the window and the ventilation for growing on the road, and I haven't seen too many people do this. So, I'm kind of mapping out something like that in my mind, how to have really good, indoor air quality and lighting, and I'm kinda thinking some kinda tower situation that can be in the corner, um 'cause if the soil or the water is real good, plants, they just do great.
Yeah.
We do have some, I think they're called volunteers, where you're trying not to grow anything, and we have some really gorgeous tomatoes that are just coming straight up out of the ground right now. I could take a picture of it, it's so funny.
Nice.
And, it's like, okay, so when we get volunteers also, I've tried to grow potatoes, and I'm like, "Potatoes are the easiest, what's going on?" And the minute we stop trying, they just we found a ton. So funny. Nature is so cool. I mean, it's cool, but it's, like, fascinating. I watched this bee, video, I should share it. Somebody shared it, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not into these kinda documentaries," and it was so good, I was, like, I'm kind of a quiet person, but I was, like, screaming. They had this, like, spider going after a bee, and it was, like, the scariest thing to see on the screen, and I'm just like, "Oh, wow." I forget how powerful nature is and how many things are going on, and sometimes when I feel really stressed, I just think about the bugs, and I'm like, they probably got a whole city of things and, adventure and survival that they're dealing with. I could just, like, look out to the front yard and be like, "Wow, I can only imagine, what kind of battles of survival are happening on this level that I can't even see."
Right. Like a wild, wild west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Karen, when you watch who's coming up in traditional Western herbalism, they'll say pay attention to the herbs, aka weeds that are volunteering in abundance. They'll grow where they're needed, either by the soil or by the people who live there. So, like for instance, when I go in and see my herbalist, like probably this next time she's going to ask me what's coming up in the yard because it's
That
most
sounds
likely something I or someone in the family needs. And actually, in our yard, in our backyard, in the one corner, it's entirely Creeping Charlie. And Creeping Charlie is really good for the biome, the gut biome, and lymph. And it's a super cleanser. So, like a hand soak or a foot soak, you'd start at 2 minutes. It's so potent. You wouldn't even go up to it. You wouldn't go past 8 at any point, but you'd start really low because you could end up having a big detox reaction if you go more. So it's going to be interesting to see what I get to hear at my next appointment. I'll probably be doing a Creeping Charlie cleanse.
And please make a post about this. That is so interesting.
It is. We had a little while ago, we had a lot of dandelion. But my mom's managed, not through dandelion, but she's managed to reverse her stage 4 cirrhosis of her liver. But that's really interesting because we did have some extraordinary I mean, I'm not really good with the plants, like my mom and my sister are. They're so good at that stuff. Like, you just look at my sister's like, "Oh, that's a da 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 kind of bird and da 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 tree," and I'm like, "Dang, dude, you're so." It is it's a practice, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't feel like I need, I feel like we all have our strengths, and I can honor theirs and not feel, intimidated. Just
Yeah,
feel
it's more about following what you're interested in and enthralled
Yeah,
by, And
yeah.
I mean, I think that one of my goals is to lead more plant walks. We have a farm that has just tremendous medicinal native herbs all over. So I do think that there's some basic ones that'd be really helpful for anyone who's interested at all to know. They're really common and they're medicinal. So how to handle a bee sting when we're not at home, how to handle poison ivy, how to handle bug bite. We're probably 5 to 15 feet away from the answer, but most of us didn't know it yet.
I was
So
I brought this up, an apocalyptic talk, people get very focused. I was like, we're all well, I make jokes, like, "We're all focused on this one apocalypse situation or this one," and I'm like, "Watch the aliens just land," and we're like, "Shoot, that's the one we didn't prepare for," you know? Um, and what that has to do with anything is I'm tying it into what you just said is, I often think I feel like those basic things will be like the superpower or the main thing that we need to know, not necessarily the stock of 2 pallets of beans or whatever, but knowing how to treat, help yourself with,
Mhm.
a b a poison spider bite or a snake bite or, how to do some basic water filtration, things like that. Anyways, it's funny because I often say that. I'm like, there's no I think we like to prepare, but the best prepping is like that book that can help you figure out, like, the basic things of human survival,
Right.
which I need to know more of because I'm not that person who knows that, but I wanna join that school community, the bite size,
well,
Or
well, we'll be doing some of that. People have been wanting more of the herb stuff, so health
Mhm.
upgraders
Yes.
will have. We'll start with some basics, and also in Rodney, the Wilderness Outdoor School in that community, I did promise some basic first aid with herbs. So there's 2
Cool.
places that you can get more.
Yeah, I mean, simple lavender essential oil is, like, my go-to, but, that's again, you gotta have that, essential oil on you in the instance that something like that where you need it,
I
but
always do. That one I always carry with me.
yeah.
And others, but this one is always it's like good for so many different things. And you know what you said about like you don't know enough or we're always like learning, and the more you know, the more you realize how much there is more to know.
Yeah,
Hey,
totally.
you know what dandelion is, so there you go. There's your liver support and your detox support and your, I mean, bitters helps the gallbladder run
Yeah.
its bile and it helps digestion. So you already got a key one right there.
Yeah, we had so many growing, our neighbors would come and just be pulling out. I'm like, they gotta be doing something, fresh with that because they would just have a little shopping bag and just be, like, taking our dandelion. I'm like, "Okay,
Oh
cool."
yeah,
I mean, because I know that they're doing something immediate with it, for whatever, but
yeah. Otherwise, why would they put it in a bag?
yeah.
We saute the greens like you would for spinach or arugula, and we put them in salads and stuff. And the flowers, here's a quick little one. The flowers will be popping sometime in the next month. And they're phenomenal for making a muscle soreness remedy. And it generally works super fast. And so you just pick the blossoms once they're all the way open and stuff them into even just a small half pint jar, whatever you want to make, and then cover it with olive oil. And you can even put a little rock on there if they're popping out over the top of the oil. And then you let them sit. They'll be medicinal within an hour, but usually we'll let them sit for 6 weeks and then you strain off the olive oil and use cheesecloth or, flour towel, something like that to just squeeze all the oil out and not the flowers. But that is a really great sore muscle remedy.
Or pantyhose.
Yeah, pantyhose works for sieving it out. Yeah, sieving it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to go, guys. Thank you so much
I've got to go
for
too.
coming.
Thank you, everybody.
I was gonna leave you on the call. I'll just leave myself. And okay, bye. Love you.